here with no problem, and other times I'm like, what in the hay is happening? You know what I'm saying? So it was actually interesting. I was watching a tutorial on this, and one of the other YouTubers I said the same thing
live, so hopefully it's not weird. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I'm gonna go to the chat box, just make sure we're good and we're in
preview stream. Oh, there we go.
Oh, let me turn this off. I don't want to hear me. I can already hear me. I'm in my own head. So, hey girl. Hey everybody out there. Okay, good. I did get in. I was wondering if I was doing it wrong, but you know, you just got to slow down and be patient with these things sometimes. How's everybody doing today? How are you guys? Where are you guys? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know where you're popping in here from. I'm in Colorado. I think that most people who know me or know my business know that I'm in Colorado. So, oh, is the echo gone now? Can you guys still hear the echo? Let me know if that's gone. I'm just want to be patient here and make sure everything is good. Hey girl, hey, from LA, we got Boston, Maine, Quebec, Canada, Mississippi, Roanoke, Virginia, oh, Colorado, Cappy, hey, Minnesota, that's like my favorite place, Baltimore, Turkey, wow, Arizona, Toronto, Canada, Louisiana, Morocco, North Africa, hi, Johannesburg, South Africa. This is so cool. I'm like, oh, so happy to see you guys. Yeah, Colorado is amazing. So I'm going to just give this a second for everything I'm talking about to catch up. And then we're going to jump in and I'm going to, hi from Scotland. Yay. And then I'm going to start talking about Saturn in Capricorn, but we're going to talk about it as a mini horoscope for each of the signs, okay? What you'll kind of be working on. Now, of course, one of the things you need to keep in mind is that if you're listening for your ascendant sign, it's going to be accurate, right? It's going to be a lot more accurate because your ascendant sign is in the first house. So when you're listening to a general horoscope report, what the astrologer does is take the sun sign, the moon sign, whatever sign they're talking about, and move it right to the first house. So your ascendant is already in the first house, right? Your sun sign may not be in the first house, so you do need to understand your chart. But there is a massive amount of relevance to listening to the overall general as well, because I know for me, whenever there is a Saturn transit, hi from Hawaii and Loveland and Sweden, in the general, I can always find a lot of information about what's going on with me, and it is like spot on. So make sure that you understand the difference just between the two of those things, okay? I'm also going to put the offer out here. I told you guys I would have the offer up until Friday, so there's going to be another live chat tomorrow as well. And we're going to be talking about tomorrow, we're going to be talking about Saturn in Capricorn, your Saturn return. So if this is your Saturn return, if your Saturn in your natal chart is in Capricorn, we're going to be talking about you, what the Saturn return is about, and all of that good jazz. So really good stuff happening like all week long. All right, so here's the Saturn situation video offer. So what the Saturn situation is I'm going to do a video for you, about 10-15 minute video, maybe even 20 depending on what it looks like in your chart, but I'm going to be going through and tracking your Saturn in your personal natal chart, looking at its interactions and its aspects and talking about you know, what that looks like for you, but I'm going to be covering the entire transit. So all the way from December 2017 to December 2020. So you're getting 3 years in there. So it's a pretty good stuff. Oh, good. If you are having your Saturn return, I hope to see you tomorrow. And if not, of course, you can catch the video tomorrow. And we're just going to talk through that. It's a really significant, special time. If this is your Saturn return, it's huge. You know, whether you're, 28, 58, 92, something like that, right? So in there, just about every 28 years, something like that. So you're having a big time. So we're going to cover that tomorrow. I'm pretty pumped. I'm excited to see all of you guys here. It's really nice to be with you. I'm enjoying the live format. I've just been feeling like I needed to do a lot more live format, because for me, live public speaking is where I show up. Like, I really just show up when I'm doing live speaking. So I'm going to enjoy this. I think we're all going to just enjoy this today. So I'm going to give it, like I said, I'm going to just sit here and I'm going to have a little sip of my frosty beverage in my Harley Davidson cup that my boyfriend gave me. Pretty cool. And I'm going to wait for this to kind of catch up. Oh my goodness, I forgot this is not tea, it's coffee, and it is so wonderful. There's literal life in this cup right now. Coffee, water, and popcorn. I could literally live off of that. I could do it. Ooh, okay. Ooh, hi, we have some people who are just joining in for the first time. Hi from California. Yes, have some energy. Here, have some. Ooh, I'm going to brush it off. Have a little. Everybody, right? If I could give you guys some of my energy, I totally would, because trust me, sometimes I look at my life and I'm like, between this business, I'm working on finishing a doctorate degree. I'm in my last 10 weeks of my doctorate program. I have 2 children. I have a beautiful boyfriend. I'm taking care of my parents. And I'm like, how the heck do I have this? How does this look like this? But I can tell you, I really believe that divine energy gets in there. And if I would not have left my corporate job to be doing this thing that I was terrified to start doing, this would just not be my experience. Because in that year that it took me to leave my corporate job that I loved, I literally loved, to start actually my own astrology practice, my energy was low. I had problems. My health went crazy. I just always felt crazy in my head. Every time I would even think about having to go to this place that I used to love, I would just feel sad. You know what I mean? I literally felt like I was dimming my own light and I didn't know how to stop. So, today, that's why I'm like, you need some energy? Have some. Hi from Baltimore. Hi, Aries. Hi, Sean. I'm a big fan of the Aries, folks. My Venus is in Aries, so I'm like, Yeah, you know what? That's something that somebody said to me the other day too, is they wanted to hear more about me making that transition from the corporate into this more metaphysical space. And so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to schedule a live chat, and I will talk to you guys about what that personal experience was like. Because so many of you are needing to make these transitions, right? Like, it's coming. There is something in your life it's time for you to walk away from. You are afraid to walk away from it. You don't know how to do it. And it's time for you to get this new teacher and start doing what you're doing, what you're actually built to do. And it is scary as tacos. It is seriously scary, and it is the best thing you will ever do. I promise you. And literally, that's why I get excited to work with you guys, because I'm like, I'm going to welcome you to the new island of spiritual terrain and show you that you can survive this and help you meet your new teachers along the way. Because here's the thing. I'm not trying to be everything for everybody. I can teach you what I know. I can literally transmit to you what I've got, what I don't. I'm going to pass you to somebody who's got it. You know what I'm saying? So, high five. Air five. So one of the questions that's kind of out there right now before we get started in about 2 minutes is, how do you know if you're in a return right now? So in any of your planets, you will know if you are in a return if the planet is in the same sign and degree transiting, so that's the moving planet, as it was in your natal chart. So you know what I mean? If you have Jupiter in Scorpio, you're in a Jupiter-Scorpio return right now. If your Saturn is in Capricorn, you're going to be in a return, right? Because at some point, regardless even of where the degrees are at, Saturn is going to hit all 30 degrees of this sign before it moves on, so you will be in a return, okay? I'm just looking at the comments. I love you guys so much. Thank you. You guys are the sweetest. Thank you for some Scorpio love too. I always love when my opposite is suiting up and showing up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's true. How do you know where you're in a return, especially a Saturn return? You will know. You will know because it's like ish gets real, and it gets real real fast. Yeah, right? Like there's no oof. There's none of that. Like it just happens. And it can feel heavy. But here's the thing. As I tell you guys all the time, I don't teach fear-based astrology. I don't support fear-based astrology, but I do teach faith-based astrology, and I also tell the truth, right? When it's hard, when it's heavy, we need to move into faith, right? We need to move into faith. And sometimes the way we move into faith is it's like, man, I've been trying this action over and over and over again, and it is not working out. So it takes faith. It usually takes us getting into pain before we'll be willing to do something new or try somebody's suggestion or something like that. So that's what we're going to do here. That is what we're going to do here. I'm really pumped to talk about this. So we're going to I'm going to get in here and get this done, you guys. So are you ready to talk about this? I can't even see you. I'm all like waiting for you to nod your head. That's not going to happen. All right. So thank you to the people who are also in the comment section who yesterday I saw some of you guys were talking to each other as well when I couldn't answer a question to help each other. So thank you very, very much for that. That is so helpful. I really want to encourage you guys, you know, as you're studying, we meet people at all levels. If you know a little something, share a little something. If it's completely like left, trust me, I'll chime in. I can see that stuff. I just can't answer everything and be as effective because y'all know I still got to like see clients. I got to get these November videos ready. All right, you guys, let's talk about this. I'm going to do some horoscopes, which is a very general overview for transiting Saturn in Capricorn. What is this going to look like for each of the signs? And we're going to start with Aries. So Aries, for you, this transiting time is going to be happening in your 10th house. Now, with it being in your 10th house, Aries, one of the things that it also does is it creates kind of like, it's like this magical moment where it touches all of the cardinal points in the chart. So when you have transiting energy that touches your 10th house, it also affects your 1st house, your 4th house, your 7th house, and then of course the 10th. So this is like a full-on reset for you, right? But what the basis of this is Saturn comes to bring structure. Right? He comes to bring structure. He comes to bring spiritual maturity and discipline. And at first what he feels like is limiting, right? So for you, you may be like, I mean, I've really been trying to figure this career thing out. I've been trying to figure out my purpose. What do I have to give to the world? What lights me on fire? You may have been trying to work on that, especially with Saturn and Sagittarius here. You've been digging up skills. You've been using and learning and studying, grabbing new teachers, new information, new faith, new education, right? And now it's like, okay, but what do I do with it? What do I do with that? How do I put that in here? And you may feel limited in your career. You may feel like this is not letting me express the way that I want to. This does not feel like the thing that I want to be doing, right? And this is gonna, like I said, activate every single one of these cardinal points as well. So from who you are in what you're doing and you're giving away to the world, in what you're doing for work, your ego, your identity, your relationships, your home life, they will all be touched. Now think about just that in a practical term. This is not magical, mystical, right? Practically. When I don't feel at peace with having a purpose in the world, doesn't every other area of my life get touched and I go, no, wait a minute. I don't feel as available to give to my partner. And maybe even during this time, Aries, one of the things that's happening is you kind of don't want to go home because you really are trying to figure out the career thing, or you feel so out of whack in the career thing, especially in the beginning, that you just want to be at home. Maybe you're really, really sleepy, Aries, because let me tell you what, when Aries cannot define by their ego, when Aries cannot have a definite definition of themselves, they can become a little bit reclusive. They want to go hide in the house, right? So all of these areas are going to be touched. Now, here's the great part about this Saturn place here. If you've been working on something, it's going to support you, and you're going to get to see this progression happen. You know, maybe people start to recognize your reputation. Things around work actually have some improvement for you. It'll be slow and steady, okay? It's not going to be like, yay, Saturn is in Capricorn, I arrived. No, it is a slow and steady deal, okay? But things can work out. Now, if you've been unclear or irresponsible in the areas of work, Saturn is going to show you first what's not been working. And here's my deal with you, Aries. Like, I love each of you, but your way is not always the way, and you have to start to wrap your head around that. Aries, if you are still trying to stuff the old version of you into your new life, you are probably exhausted. Just exhausted, because this is the thing, Aries, who you were 5 years ago, you are not today, and it's not going to work. And Saturn is going to make that so incredibly abundant for you and so incredibly obvious to you that you're going to be forced to change. But here's what I do love about Aries. Here's what I love about you guys. You are not quick to change your mind. You are not quick to be led. But when pain or exhaustion get you just good enough, you are willing to baby step in a new direction. And I treasure that about you, and that will be the way. So if you're feeling like you're baby stepping in your career, okay? Hi from Miami. If you feel like you're baby stepping towards some change here, towards a new identity, towards everything that you thought maybe even 5 years ago your life was going to look like, if that picture's starting to look completely different, go with it. Do not fight what Saturn is trying to take out of your life. Do not. You are a fighter. If there's not conflict somewhere, you don't like that junk. Don't fight. Let Saturn take from you what doesn't belong and allow yourself to flower and open into this whole new life that you probably couldn't really see coming. Beautiful stuff, Aries. So put your fight to the front, right? Move it forward. Be accountable. Ask some questions in this career space. If you do not have a mentor in your life right now, if you don't have somebody who you trust to kind of show you how to do these next sections, that's going to be very important for you, Aries, because you don't like to be led. So you're going to have somebody you really trust in order to follow. All right, guys, I got all passionate. Right? All right, let's talk about Taurus. Taurus, this Saturn and Capricorn business is going to be happening for you in your 9th house. So this is so great, okay? You just got done with Saturn and Sagittarius, really working on some 8th house business, being more independent, doing for yourself, all of this good kind of stuff, bringing this 8th house, bringing your creativity, your genuine talents out into the open and in alignment. And now in the 9th house space, you are going to be seeing what that real meaning and purpose looks like, right? Like, what does this look like when you step it out there? Because what happens? Maybe you found out you don't want to be an accountant anymore. That's a nice, steady, sturdy field, right? And you found out, okay, I want to be an accountant, but on the side, I really want to do astrology. I really want to do tarot. I really want to study drugs and alcohol, right? Maybe you found that out, but what does that mean? What does that mean? Like, what's your purpose with doing that? And can you do that out in the public? Are you ready to broadcast yourself out to the world? Right, Taurus, are you ready for this? So you're going to get to start learning that. You're going to learn some new skills. You're going to learn some higher education, right? Anything that takes your mind and takes your skills to the next level, Taurus, you're going to work on this. And you may feel limited. Saturn feels like, especially in the beginning, a limited energy. So you may be trying to go to school, get this new sense of education, and you feel like you are hot tacos, and then your professor is like, no, this is not good, it needs to be redone, and boom, you are leveled, right? Like, you are right-sized, and you see you've got to bring that higher mind into the game. You may think you're hot tacos at tarot, and you do a reading for somebody, and they're like, that's not what that means, and boom, you're leveled. Be prepared to allow yourself to expand. The 9th house is an expansive house, and it's delicious. It's absolutely delicious. Now, the other thing I think is, if you've been over here trying to not be the natural born teacher that you are, Saturn's not going to have that, right? Saturn's going to be like, no, you have information. You have relevant things to add to the world. I need you to teach. I need you to take it out there because your students are waiting to hear from you. And whatever teach looks like, that doesn't have to be in a college. That can be online. This is a broadcasting place. This can be in a podcast. This can be in a book. right? This can be in your local community. You're stepping out there sharing information. Are you a faith worker? Right? Do you have some level of religious faith that you want to teach? Faith and spirituality in general? Do you have political philosophies? Something like that. You'll be stepping out here. Now, here's the other thing about it. If you're putting out a book, a podcast, something online, something on the radio, a dissertation, a thesis, whatever it is, your integrity to make sure that it is yours is going to be called into play with everything you do, Taurus, with this 9th house energy. You're going to have to really be sure that there is a level amount of integrity behind it, right? Is that yours? And it also pushes you here because it says, what is your thought process on this? What do you think, Taurus? And you really get to blossom in that. By the end of this transit, I think that you won. Some of you will be graduating or finishing certifications, advanced degrees, things like that. But your level of faith and willingness to get out there and share of yourself, you uncovered all these beautiful talents. Now you just need to let us see them, right? Also a great time for you to grab a new mentor. If you need a new mentor teacher, this is a wonderful energy for that, okay? Gemini, you are going to be working this transit on 8th house stuff. Okay, now Gemini, you just spent 2.5 years learning about relationships. Like, gosh, how do I even communicate in these relationship things, right? All right, so you've been working on that. Now it's time to go a little bit deeper. First things first that when I'm thinking about Geminis right now that I think is really important to address is that Saturn and Capricorn in the 8th house, it wants structure, it wants organization, but it also wants achievement. It's trying to show you how to achieve. And in the 8th house, Gemini, if you have been dependent on someone else's finances, someone else's resources, one, you may find that they come limiting and they slow down and you're feeling kind of screwed. You're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? And Saturn's answer is you have got to provide for yourself. You have got to start questioning what are your hidden talents, skills, and means to put out into the world, connect with your own investors, sponsors, loans, whatever, and take care of, right? Because it is really a space and time where doing for Gemini comes to the table. This includes debts as well. If you have debts while the 8th house is here, you're going to be working very hard because remember, Capricorn works hard. This is one of our most hard-working signs ever. Like they just work until they love it. You know what I'm saying? So you will be working hard to pay off debts that come up. And some of the debts that I also think that are really important that you'll be working on are ones of if you have harmed people, right? If you have done harm to other people, have you been unkind to somebody? Have you been too dependent on another person and it's actually created an issue? Are there things in and within yourself that you have got to let go of the debt? You've got to move out of the negative, and maybe that looks like some therapy, right? It could look like that. Whatever it is, it's cleaning out the debt bank. That's what's going to be happening. And it is a slow and steady movement because that's the way Capricorn climbs. Slow and steady, they achieve their little mountain goatee selves up the mountain, right? But the entire thing at the end when we're working on the 8th house is you are empowered. You go, okay, now wait. This is what I think of when I think of any work that happens out of the 8th house, and I'm at the end of my 8th house transit, is that I'm like, no, you didn't do for me. I did for me. That puts me in a position where I can be like, I am grateful for your friendship. I am grateful for your whatever, but mine is mine because I did for me. And it also puts me in the position to be grateful for the people who helped me learn to do for me over this last Saturn transit. I mean, it is sexy. It is sexy. And speaking of sexy, in the 8th house, when Saturn gets in there and starts working at this, at first, it can be really painful because maybe you're really not getting any. You know what I mean? Maybe the sex slows down. Maybe your own sexuality slows down. And it's because you're digging in there, right? You're trying to you're trying to figure yourself out. So your sexuality may not really be on. And that's okay because by the end of it, it will be like your sexy will be shining like this big giant headlight up here. You'll be like, and it's radiating out and your creativity is going. I promise you, I'm just surviving the 8th house Saturn transit and it has been yummy. So There's hope on the other side, all right? All right, let's talk about Cancer. Cancer, this is in your opposite sign, so we know it's going to be in the 7th house. So you're going to work on relationships now, right? Now, limits in relationships. If you are in steady, sturdy partnerships, this could put a little bit of pressure on those relationships. It really could. You could feel limiting. You could feel like there's something that you're trying to outgrow or grow into in a relationship. Also, though, I think for couples, friends, business partners, because those are also long-term partnerships, okay, or steady, sturdy partnerships. If there's been that's been on your heart, on your head, on your shoulders that you've been carrying, that's been weighing this partnership or this connection down, these are things that you'll start to, you're going to, brush your shoulders off. It'll definitely be time for that, because it is also about letting go what you're not supposed to be carrying in these relationships. These are conscious, chosen relationships. So you have to also choose how you're going to participate. So some of you will be getting rid of relationships that do not work. Now, there is something to be said when Saturn is transiting Saturn is crossing the 7th house, you can have a commitment happen. Certainly, you can have a marriage happen. You move in together, any of these big things. And I'm going to tell you, the way that those things usually look is hard. They look hard. Right? Like, this is a lot of effing work, but just because it's a lot of work doesn't make it wrong. But you will work for whatever the commitment is, because relationships on their own are work. Okay, they're just work. That's the nature of them. So that could be something that's happening here. Now, one of the other things to point out, because this is in the 7th house, this is again, Cancer, activating your cardinal points, right? So it activates that 1st house, 4th house, 7th house, 10th house. So this is a restructuring for you. This is like a chart reset for you happening in this 7th house. So you could have full expression here. You could be changing your career, right? You could be interacting with some new relationships that put you in a position to be changing your housing and your career. Your ego is definitely going to become a different size, probably right sized, so that you can fit through some doors more easily, things like that. And that has nothing to do with being so arrogant or anything like that, but we come equipped with our own set of ideas, and you will see that maybe they don't work, right? There could also be a change in your home and family. Someone could be coming or going in and out of your house, right? I do think, because it's a limiting energy, so the ability to have a new relationship and maybe, have all of these other points affected as well. Some of you could be becoming pregnant or having children at this time, right? That's something between both the 4th and the 5th house I've definitely seen in enough pattern to speak to, and that would definitely be limiting, right? It's a grateful, joyful thing, but surely, if you have a baby, you've got a brand new relationship, work changes, home changes, you change, right? So it could be things like this happening as well. I would say to keep in mind, just with the 7th house, if the relationship is not healthy, even if it's the relationship of you with you, if that's not healthy, if the self-talk here that you learned about in the 6th house is not good, you're going to need to shed that and get a new version of yourself. Just get a new version of yourself, right? Just get a new version. All right, Leo, this business for you is going to come into the 6th house. We start talking about health. And the first place I think of health for anybody is in the head. What does this conversation look like up here? What are you talking about with yourself in your head? Are you giving yourself praise? Are you speaking kindly to yourself? How are you talking about other people up in your head? What is the mental health factor that's happening here? Because you're going to feel limited. And I will tell you, whenever we get to the area of health, I am on Leo right now. One of the first things I think of is, because it's limiting, is that maybe in the beginning here, you are limited to do an activity, maybe even an activity at work or something like that, because something with your health comes up. Or it's the position of you are limited in your life because your health and daily routine, your diet, all of those things needs to be restructured, right? Saturn, Capricorn, restructuring. But something could be limiting you based on your health. And it's going to call your attention to needing to do a fair amount of work, I'll tell you what, when Saturn is in the 6th house, you put in work. It is work, 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 like Rihanna on repeat. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing. You could be like in your daily routine, there is so much work. It could be that in your diet, you feel like there's so much work to do. I got to lose so much weight. I got to gain so much weight. I got to change so many things. I got to change so much of my diet all at the same time. I got to change my thinking pattern all at once, right? Whatever it is, I got to get all of these new job skills all at once. What I'm going to tell you, Leo, is baby step. Because by the end of this transit, you put in the work and you, one, have a new body. In some way, shape, or form, you have a new body at the end of this. Whether you gain weight, lose weight, something changes in your health. This is Capricorn energy. You do need to watch your teeth and your bones, right? Some of you may have been having this like nagging feeling in the back of your neck, and as this transit goes on, you find out you've got a tooth that's not good, and that bad boy gets ripped out of there. When Saturn was transiting through my 6th house, I lost 3 teeth that I had never had any issue with. And let me tell you what, the spiritual freedom I got behind letting those teeth go and the spiritual experience I went through, I mean, it was a soul cleansing, and they were teeth. And I am not attached to that kind of stuff. And the way that I mourned let me see that I had some stuck mental patterns attached to my life that were literally keeping me small. They were keeping me limited, and Saturn really is showing up to help you achieve. So watch for those things as it comes from the health zone, and watch how it helps you change your mind and your thinking, okay? And some of y'all will just get changes with your coworkers. At first it could get bad, but usually it gets really bad before it gets good. Okay, Virgo, 5th house stuff. Virgo, here's the thing. Saturn comes into the 5th house, and it's kind of the fun limiter. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, the fun police is on. Is kind of what I feel like. But really, what is a characteristic, I think, of Virgo rising people is that they tend to be practical, but they can turn that practicality into fun, especially in areas of work or obligation. And I think in the beginning, you're like, this is not fun. I am not having fun. And it feels like there's limitations on your, on the way that you're trying to express yourself, or the way you're trying to say that you want it done. Because Virgo, we know that you have it perfect. So, but something or someone may be limiting the way that you express this as well. And they're like, no, we're not trying to do it that way. So it becomes a place where it's not fun, because you also don't get to tell everybody what to do, right? And that's a little bit hard for you. Now, one of the other things that I think comes into distinct limitation in this 5th house is stuff around children, Virgo. And here's the thing, whatever is limiting you, you're in a rush during this transit, or you're in work, I guess I should say, in this transit to get rid of those things, because they block you from what's actually in alignment with what you should be doing and where you're going. So whether that be you have to get rid of people, places, or things to have them out of the way, that's what you're going to end up doing. So things around children, if you are struggling to have children, right? Actually, this transit can help you get pregnant. It's actually pretty good stuff. But if there's limitations around things with children, you want children, can't have them. You want children, your partner doesn't want children. You want children, the adoption agency is having a hard time. You may see these things, right? You get to restructure relationships with children in your life. I think you also get to really restructure the relationship with your inner child, because it's not in a Virgo's natural nature to just go and be completely free and childlike and not take all of this responsibility. So I think you get some restructuring around that as well. Now, I will tell you that I think in that restructuring of all of this playful, joyful energy, yes, a new romance could come in, but ultimately, it's the beginning. It's the conception of new things. And when you conceive new things and Saturn gets involved, it has solidarity to it. It's grounded. It can be stable. It can last, right? So
if you are looking to start a new business, start a new family, start a new romance, those things with Saturn here really support you. And really remember, guys, that what's happening in the time frame of this transit is whatever new beginnings that you're starting here with Saturn are for the next 28 years. You're going to invest in whatever this is. This is going to pay off and give you dividends. This is going to pay off and give you spiritual growth and whatever for the next 28 years. So whatever it is that you're setting up here, you really have a solid foundation to be doing that. But also whatever you're setting up here is going to be work. Okay? Now, Libra, 4th house stuff. So again, we hit a cardinal point. So 1st house, 4th house, 7th house, 10th house. The cardinal points are big points. So for you, you're going to be hitting on some of those as well during this transit. But ultimately, Capricorn for you is in the 4th house. Your housing situation is going to change. It may feel limited in some way, shape, or form. Maybe you've been trying to move. Maybe you end up having to move back with family, or you have to end up taking a roommate or something like that. Your housing situation gets different. You may feel limited because of something in your home or housing or something like that. One thing that I think of here too is that just maybe your ideas about what home and your internal foundations, what is home, your body, your beliefs, your mind, your expression, those things have been getting really different. You spent this last 2 years trying to find your own voice. Now, what does home look like to you? Knowing your own mind differently, knowing your own voice differently, Libra. What do those things look like? Are you telling people, look, no, I'm not trying to take on everybody's responsibilities? Right? Does it look like I'm not responsible for pleasing everybody today? Right? Does it look like that? Are you starting to speak up for yourself a little bit more? It's definitely going to be a time, though, where your home, family, real estate, property, and relationships with women are restructured. Now, this could be a time, too, where you are buying a house, selling a house. Whatever you're going to do, you're going to have to put in work. And it's okay because both of these are good kind of work. But, you know, you buy a house, then you have a new mortgage. You're going to have to put in work to pay that. You sell a house, you got to get it ready. You're going to put in work to get rid of it, right? If you have, this is like I said, this could be a time where you're having children as well. You're going to put in some work. You're going to put in some work, and I will promise you, both Virgo and Libra, if you do not want to be having children right now, Saturn just does not fuck around. So if you don't want to have kids, make sure you are protected, abstinent, wearing whatever it is that you put on to make sure you don't have kids, okay? But be careful because this is the timing that is very, very optimal for that as well. And one of the interesting things I think that does happen when Saturn comes into transit and moves around in Capricorn is that our bodies do want to ground down naturally. So it's like, oh, okay, I'm grounded, I'm safe. And oh man, all we need is a little bit of grounding and babies just like to show up, you know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind, okay? All right, Scorpio, this is going to be happening in the 3rd house for you. You're going to be finding a new voice, right? Some things have been changing for you. Some of your ideas and your concepts around value have definitely been changing. You had such an intense transit this last time in the 2nd house, Scorpio, that I really almost feel like you're like, whoo, thank you. Like, get off me, bro. You know, like you kind of get a sense of relief with it coming into the 3rd house because it's not all about your money and your value and your property anymore. But it doesn't mean that the work is over, right? Like now you have to learn to communicate. Now you have to listen a little bit more, right? And you're busy. This is a busy energy here. Lots of emails, lots of phone calls, lots of just random conversations with people from the past, right? Really coming up. Scorpio, another very big place for conversation for you is in your head. Again, this links very closely with activities of the 6th house as well. What are you thinking about? What's your mental health? I'm going to tell you too, for my friends and my loves out there that maybe have suffered some kind of head injury, this may be a time where you are really trying to figure out how to recommunicate something. There's so much information coming that you are trying to figure out how to assimilate that. If you've had a TBI, a traumatic brain injury, or something like that, and you are forgetting information, how are you going to continue to process and make it through your day and things like that? Does this mean we're going to carry a notepad? What does this look like? It may feel limited though, right? Because
this is the thing, your mental capacity is limited. It may even feel foggy, you know? And so you're out here trying to make big old grand decisions or speak your mind, and I'll tell you, watch what you say. Think about what you say before you say it during this transit, Scorpio, because you can really do a lot of damage. You've got a pretty good tongue. But think before you speak, because the thinking is just not clear. It's not always as clear. It's limited at first. Now, other things that I think get limitations put on them are travel, right? Short distance travel. I'm not talking about anything big, but short distance travel, things that help you travel, scooters, cars, bikes, motorcycles, buses, whatever it is, transportation. These things have a tendency to sometimes go haywire. And sometimes it's like, ooh, the universe is like, I've been trying to tell you to get rid of that scooter for like 2 years. Get rid of it. And so it helps you ease that on out of your life. And sometimes it's not easy, but it helps you get rid of it. But it is a time that I think is also prone, with Uranus still in Aries, for accidents. So you do just need to be careful with that as well. If you are writing, if you are trying to put out a book, if you have a website you're trying to design, you may feel limited in what you can do. You may feel frustrated because now you have this great idea. You see this great way you can make money, but you're not sure how to use the tool in front of you. It's okay to be limited. It's okay to be frustrated. Get a new teacher, okay? All right, Sagittarius, this is your year. You're going to start this second house, and it is not always going to be fun, especially in the beginning, because Saturn is about that money life. So Saturn is going to come up and look at your finances and say, what have you been doing, right? If you've been being responsible, he's going to be like, bravo, cool, let's go to the next level. I'm going to show you some investment things, right? If you've been irresponsible with money, if you do not have a budget that you're living on, if you are living off of someone else's funds, Saturn shows up, and Saturn is always showing up to move you towards your greatest good, but unfortunately, sometimes it's very uncomfortable. So you're going to restructure your finances in some way. Like I said, if your finances have been good, you've been on top of it, the world is right, how you make money is good and is right, Saturn's just going to give you some restructure to make it a little bit more efficient. It's also going to show you about your value. If you've been doing a business and you haven't been charging what you're actually worth, then he's going to show you your value. In your relationships, Saturn is going to show you your value, because how do we achieve the very best relationships possible? We have to know our own value. What are you bringing to the table? In your comfort zone, right? What people, places, and things do you have in your comfort zone, in your home, and in your life? If they are not Team Sag, they need to go. But it will be your value that attracts and keeps to you who is coming into your life. Now, here's the thing. You could also start making money in a different way. The job that you do could be starting to look different. And you could start something new and you think, oh my God, I don't know if I should have done this. And it's really slow. You're really having to work hard to make money. You're really having to work hard to get money to pay off debts. You're really working hard because you're having to pay out extra money that you didn't expect. But then in the end, what happens at the end of this transit is this thing ends up working out for you. So that's a pretty good thing to think about. And I'm telling you what, when it's in the money house, you have the chance to really have some really crazy kind of transformation that is delicious in the end. All right, Capricorn. Capricorn. It's your season. How about that? Some Pluto, some Saturn. Capricorn, you're about to get different, okay? Now this is hitting a cardinal point for you. First house, the ascendant, right? Boom. Okay, so what happens for you? This is a major life reset, right? Who you are, who you're prepared to put out in the world, your relationships, what you do in the world, where you live, your relationships at home, your soul level calling out in the world is about to get really, really different, and the way that you present that is different. Now, here's the business of why this is so amazing for you. In the 12th house, Capricorn, right? You have had Saturn there, and what you did for 2.5 years with Saturn in your 12th house was you cleaned out debt, because you have to think the 12th house is the culmination of all of our houses. 1 through 11 land in 12, right? So by the time Saturn's here, you're cleaning out that karmic basket. You're like, boom, did that, boom, did that.
fear, closure, doubt, guilt. Boom, we're clearing that out. Boom, 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 boom. It's spiritual house cleaning. It's karmic reset, right? All of that happens. You do that work and you dump that ish out. But then what happens? Here you are. You're not carrying 75,000 years of karma for that one ant you killed, you know, back in the day. Who are you? Who are you now? Right? That's a big question. And so with Saturn here, you and your life get a restructuring. And here's the thing. Capricorn, it doesn't always look like the plan. I promise you in 3 years, your life at the end of this transit is going to look nothing like you thought it would. It may look like what you felt like you knew it would, but it will look nothing like you are planning for it to look like. Nothing, right? And that in the beginning, because the plan is starting to look different, you don't know who you are, you don't have this full expression, this can be a depression for you. It can, and I need to say that to you right away because I don't teach that fear-based astrology, but I gotta tell you the truth. Capricorn, you can get stuck in your head. You can get stuck in what people think about you, and if you don't feel in alignment with who you are out there, if any of us don't, we can start to feel depressed. What am I doing? What's happening? Why don't I understand this? Everything I used to do is not working, right? All of those things, Capricorn. But this is a resetting to you, the way you present yourself, your personality, and what you're doing in the world. So if the depression comes, here's your key ticket out of it. You've got to deepen these relationships. Your cardinal points are hit. Allow some chosen relationships to get in and get close to you here, because you got to have the space when the cards are down, when it feels too heavy. A burden shared is half the burden, and you're going to have to burden share this year. And over the next 3 years. But it allows these relationships to deepen. Right? You're a new person, and this person doesn't have to have the whole plan together all the time, right? This person has a new definition of success and failure. You have to redefine that for yourself this year. But it's totally going to be a new you. The other thing I think you do with the Saturn being here for you, Capricorn, is shit that's not yours, you let go of. You're like, oh, that is not my circus. That is not my monkey, right? You get busy dealing with your own stuff because you're just like, I can't carry all of this. I'm a mountain goat. I'm not a camel. You know what I'm saying? And this is a really good thing for you, but it's also because some of that karmic debt, some of those old behaviors, you've had like a spiritual awakening, and you realize that it's your job to do your job, not the job of everybody. And somehow in there show up as a means of service. So don't be surprised either, Capricorn, if at this time you do feel like you crave a little bit more solitude, right? Because the world may feel like it's really turned up and really, really loud for you. You're basically a new soul who's just stepped onto a new planet. Your eyes are big and the light is bright. And while you're adjusting, you may need some solitude time, but again, nurture those relationships. Make your home look like what you feel like your home should look like. Show up in your career. You could have a career change here. Show up in your career as a means of service to just give something back because you can. And that's the way through this for you. And don't fight. Don't fight with Saturn. It's your ruling planet, but don't get too comfortable and don't fight, okay? All right. Aquarius. Okay, Aquarius, you're going to do some 12th house. You're going to be like Elsa. You're going to be running around saying, let it go, let it go, right? That's what you're doing. It's time for your karmic clean out. We were just talking about the karmic basket. This is what you're doing. The culmination of all of your houses, of lifetimes, of things you've been doing in this lifetime. You have the opportunity to start letting that stuff go. You have the opportunity to square on, confront your karma, confront fear, bring closure into your life, any destructive tendencies that you've had. Any of those things that are behind the scenes, relationships or affairs that you've been in that are actually dragging you down, you'll be able to address those things. And some of them, with Saturn and Capricorn, Capricorn likes structure, right? And the structure that Capricorn doesn't like is more than one person in a relationship with another person. So this could be a time where things just get extra shady, okay? So just be mindful of that. But in this fear-based house, you get to actually purge those fears. You get to purge old thinking, old beliefs, old people. Give forgiveness and compassion. Sometimes the people in your life just effed you over because they were sick themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, sick people act sick.
hurt people, right? So it's like this whole scale set of compassion kind of comes on. And again, by the time we get to the end of this transit, you feel lighter, right? You're saying it with your chest out, right? You're holding your head higher. Your heart gets to shine forward a little bit more because the weight of fear is not holding you down so much. But this is, it's like a new world. This will be, by the end, you are stepping into a new world. And I'll tell you that for me, in this house, this is one of the hardest ones because you really are shown you. You really confront you. And you also confront the fact that you can't blame game anymore, right? It's the stuff I was talking about yesterday. If your life is someone else's fault, you are screwed because you can't change them, right? This is the place of what grounds you. What's that thing you call a higher power, divine energy, God, whatever you call that. How are you tapped into that, right? What level of compassion are you willing to give yourself to say, you know what, maybe I didn't do some things that were great and now I have the opportunity to see a different way to do that, right? But you really get busted in the 12th house and it can be a heavy one. So you really want to make sure you have a tribe. And really, I think listening to the astrology also helps you understand what's happening because it's a slow filtering out process. You cannot be yelling at Saturn and be like, let's go, I'm ready. Saturn doesn't care. Saturn's like, and, you know, so it's going to be a slower process, but nothing that needs to be feared because what comes out of the other side is divine. And you have spiritual protection while you're going through this as well, but you just need to remember to access that as well. All right, last but of course not least, because you're fab, Pisces. You're going to be working through your 11th house. So Pisces, here's my deal. When I look at the 11th house for you, for anybody, but for you especially, with Saturn here, you got to restructure your friend zone. You got to restructure your tribe. You got to restructure your long-range goal. You've been learning a lot about stepping up, doing for Pisces in your career, going after what you want, all of these kinds of things, really making your own way. Okay, cool, but what have you been doing that for? What's the new long-range plan look like? Because I'm sure your friend groups, your job, your hobbies, your belief in yourself, your desire for partnership, I bet all of that looks really, really different, Pisces. So you've got to get this down in a new long-range goal kind of fashion. And it may feel limited, right? You may feel like, well, how will I ever do that? How will I ever get there? That's fine. You don't need to know the how right now. You just need to be prepared to restructure what that goal looks like for you. And what are your desires? Furthermore, and more important, I think, especially because you're such an energy eater, you know what I mean? You can really grab onto the energetics. Hi, everybody. You can really grab onto the energetics of people. Restructure your friend group. Who are you hanging out? Who is in your tribe? Who is on your team? Do you have these like weird hanger-oner acquaintances that you're not really actually hanging out with? It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them, but energetically, they maybe don't need to be with you. Do you have friends that it's like, oh God, when it's time to go hang out with that person, you really kind of don't want to? You know what I'm saying? Is there a friend? Is there a person in your life? Is there a group that you are taking on the most responsibility for? Like it's like their life, they're doing what they're doing and you are really taking on the responsibility for it, or you're always the cleanup crew when shit gets real for them, right? But they're not actually showing up for you in the same way. Let that ish go. That's what you're going to work on. Like you're really going to be tested in friendships. The other thing I think is important for Pisces to hear is if in the friendships you are being too dependent, you are waiting for someone to be your savior, Saturn will not have it. You will not have it. It is still about you finding your feet and finding your way. And that is something that you're also going to learn a lot about yourself through these friendship groups. That's why I think too, one of the most positive aspects here is that Saturn will bring new networking groups and new friends into your world for you to learn from. You're very much so looking to grow in this way, and it looks like you just need a little bit of a mentor. You know what I mean? Here's the other thing I'll ask you, Pisces. Here are your indicators that something needs to change. If there are people, places, things, ideas that you are avoiding. If you are actively avoiding something, that's the place you need to go and address restructuring that, right? Also,
If you are not strong in your technology, you need to upgrade and you need to restructure what that looks like. And that may feel limiting, right? You feel limited on social media. You feel limited on how to use it. You feel limited on your desire to connect in that way. You feel limited in being able to purchase new equipment. Don't worry about the limitations. It's just about restructuring that to bring it to your greatest good. So make sure you have a tribe, and any of these things that are making you be like, I don't want to do it. Go address those and allow those things to leave your life. And I'll tell you, like I tell every other sign and I have today, do not fight what Saturn is trying to show you, take from you, or take you to. This is a wonderful time for you to come to just this next level. It's a wonderful time for you, Pisces, to achieve in ways that maybe you haven't been able to do so before, but you've really done a lot of work in finding your own voice and finding your own piece in the world that you want to give out to people. Now you also just need to remember that it's people that will help your dreams come true. Right? So you got to also find this tribe, find this restructuring to allow those people to help you do that. There it is, you guys. We've got some horoscopage out there. I hope you were able to hear your sign. I hope you were able to connect with that. Definitely try and connect it with your rising sign if you can. Look out. There's going to be many more talks as we get, towards the end of the year, and definitely through 18, 19, and up until 20 with information about Saturn, especially since at the end we really see Saturn and Pluto starting to do some dancing together, and we're going to want to talk about that. But in a general way, this is basically what's happening for each of the signs, even if it's not exactly specific in your birth chart. So keep that in mind. In the general, there's going to be some of these things happening for your sun sign as well. Now, somebody keeps asking me, where is this? Hold on, let me scroll here. Can I address the opposition? Which opposition are you asking me about? I'm going to wait here just so, because I know there's a delay, so I want you to be able to Austin, let me just tell you, the Capricorn as a goat fish is represented. It just depends on the culture and the things that you're looking at and how far back you look. But for the most part, they're really seen as like the mountain goat. But back in the day, it was the goat fish, which is always super duper interesting to find out about. I'm trying to wait. I want to wait and see which opposition, because I want to make sure I definitely get you answered before I shut this down, because somebody else may have this question as well. So just want to make sure I do that. Plus, I'm going to be hippie hopping off of here in just a minute. I got to get the moon videos ready for November, and after the moon videos go up, the scopes come up. So if you know nothing about my channel, or you're new here, or any of that good kind of stuff, every month if you see the moon videos coming up, then right behind that the scopes will be coming up as well. So plus, it's October. I really have to get prepared for the beginning of the year. I started writing out those already, but it's time to really get going, because those will be coming up. Those will be coming up really in just weeks. I mean, we only have about 10 weeks until the end of this calendar year. So let's see. Yep, you can listen for any of the signs, right? You can listen. If you're listening for your moon sign, that's going to have a little bit of a different energy, because it is working on a more emotional level. But you really can kind of listen for the restructuring around any of the signs. So, all right, guys, I'm sorry I wasn't able to see exactly what was happening in this question, and I have a client to get to, so I'm going to just stop our stream now, shut this down. Of course, if there's other questions as we do more live streams, I will let you know. As the next live stream is already scheduled, I will be posting that up on the Facebook group, so hopefully you have already liked the Facebook page, which is just the Stormie Grace, not the Stormie Grace Find Your Tribe, which it's great if you like that one too. So you can always look there for updates to what's going on in terms of live streams, because I will definitely be doing more. I'm also going to put up the Saturn situation again for anybody else who's new and just joined the room. So that is up there as well. So, okay, I love each of you. Leave your questions down below the video if I wasn't able to answer it today, and I will do my best to get to it, okay? I love each of you a ton. Bye.